Hey guys, what's up? So we'll continue the discussion on important topics for economy, and this is presented by me, your friend Roman Saini. So let's get started. When we talk about the important topics, we have already discussed the 5 slides. So this is the sixth one. Here, the most important thing is reforming the planning process. It's very important because planning process is not perfect and it needed a lot of reforms and how it came about. Then you need to understand what is outcome based approach, what is output based approach, what is input based approach. Monitorable targets were set by the 12th plan, why they were done, so this is very important. Economic growth, poverty, employment, education, health, infrastructure, including rural infrastructure. So these topic becomes really important. Then a critical evaluation of planning as such, like why planning succeeded or failed or whatever it was, so this is also important. Then inclusive growth, what is inclusive growth, what is trickle down effect, why didn't it succeed, so all these also become very important concepts. Then what is centrally sponsored schemes and what difference between centrally sponsored schemes and central sector schemes. Then what is Niti Aayog, National Institute for Transforming India, what is its mandate, who is the CEO, so all these again becomes really important. Then what is rural development. Now these are important concepts which one need to understand. Now economic reforms, when it comes to economic reforms, so economic reforms in India, and it includes the LPG reforms, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. So LPG reforms are really important, especially the role of Manmohan Singh as a finance minister in this. Then general economic reforms, whatever happened, and first generation reform happened between 91 to 2000, so they are important. And second generation reforms happened 2001 onwards. Now what are third generation reforms, fourth generation reforms, so these are important topics especially for prelims and mains perspective. Now inflation and business cycle, such questions are frequently asked in preliminary examination. What is the definition of inflation, why does inflation occurs, what is demand pull inflation, what is cost push inflation, so these are important. They will and measures to check inflation, types of inflation. Basically there are 3 types of inflation: low inflation, galloping inflation and hyperinflation, so you need to understand these types of inflation as well. Then what is inflation targeting, what is base effect, what is the effects of inflation in India, so these are again very important concepts which one need to understand. Now inflation targeting basically means that you keep the inflation in a very narrow range. You do not allow the broadening of the range of the inflation, that is between 2 to 4%, let's say. So central bank of a country is responsible for inflation targeting. Base effect means that something like GDP, inflation, these are always measured as compared to a base year. So if you change the base year, the values changes, corresponding value changes, so that means that you can manipulate the data. Now inflation in India is a huge problem because it erodes the real value of the money. So whenever GDP nominal is there, so you have to minus the effect of inflation, only then you will get the real GDP. And what are the effects of inflation? Then various indexes I have already covered: wholesale price index, new series of WPI, consumer producer price index, housing price index, service price index, etc. Now what is seventh pay commission and its impact, urban rural inflation, these are also important. Now agricultural and food management, especially the APMC Act and farm subsidies is very important. Food security as a concept is very important. Food philosophy of India, land reforms is very important because they are directly related to this topic. Green revolution is really important. It is there in geography also and it is there in economy also, so please read this topic. Now supply chain management, irrigation, how to automate your farm, mechanize your farm, fertilizers, PMFBI, WTO and agriculture subsidies, NFSA, that is National Food Security Act, food processing, then industry and infrastructure, review of industrial policies, the new industrial policy of 1991, disinvestment, MSME sector, that is micro, small and medium enterprise sector, make in India, Indian infrastructure, railways, smart cities, renewable energy. So all these are important concepts, especially what is disinvestment, how does government benefit from it, do we need to disinvest or not, what is MSME sector, what is make in India campaign, what is Indian infrastructure, like related to airports, let's say seaports and so many things can be covered here. So thank you for watching this lesson.